I'm Clay Coomer, and this is the Travel Insights Podcast. Happy Cinco de Mayo, the date of this actual recording. And while the outlook on the economy is pretty bleak, we uncovered a growth area to start the year that was not expected, but a welcome surprise nonetheless. And this cohort of travelers are lesser known in the US market, a market reasonably predictable in the world of travel insurance. But man, they have been flocking to this specific type of policy in 2025, that being this cohort of travelers, lesser known to the US market. So, who are these travelers? What type of policies are they buying? Where are they going? All of that and much more coming up next on the Travel Insights Podcast, powered by Battleface. The Travel Insights Podcast is powered by Battleface. While there might be uncertainty around consumers' confidence in the economy, the one thing they can be confident in is your ability to provide affordable and customized options for travel protection. Partnering with Battleface enables you to decide what is best for your travelers, all backed by 24/7, 365 global travel assistance services. Battleface, built for today's travelers and building for tomorrow's. Welcome, fellow travelers, to episode 8 of the second season of the Travel Insights Podcast. I am your host and head of marketing at Battleface, Clay Coomer. Glad to have you here with us today. We're stepping back into the world of policyholder specific insights today and taking a break from topics like the economy and the need for a travel insurance revolution. Be sure to check out both those podcasts if you haven't already. And I'll play those tracks again and hop back on that soapbox another time. So let's cut to the chase. To start 2025, now over a third of the way through the year, I think we're all looking for new growth opportunities wherever we can find them, frankly. And as of the date of this recording, we have less than 8 months to deliver on promised annual revenue goals and projections. And if you're looking a new demographic to focus on in the world of travel insurance to help offset maybe missed projections from Q1 or maybe a lesser favorable outlook in Q2 and beyond, we may have a solution lying in wait for you right now. So coming in at 152% of projected plan and with over 52% in year-over-year premium growth to start the year, we have found unexpected success in the global rest of world market for travel medical insurance, with purchases coming from 97 different countries around the world and 232 different destination combinations. We can confirm two things are happening. This cohort is definitely traveling internationally, and they're buying coverage at a higher clip. So let's keep this going and dive deeper into the demographics of these global travelers, all coming up next on the Travel Insights Podcast. Stick with us. The Travel Insights Podcast is powered by Battleface. Global travel is still alive and well, and we have the data to prove it. There are plenty of untapped markets out there, and we can help you come up with a plan to stand out in a vast landscape of product similarities. So let's build the future of global travel protection together. Battleface, built for today's travelers and building for tomorrow's. Welcome back to the show. Now let's get into a few key demographics of this global cohort of travelers gravitating towards this travel medical insurance policy. All right, so let's start with some of the basics. So Battleface tends to attract a younger segment of travelers across our entire book of business. And while the average age of all insureds of this global policy is coming in at 38 years old, the age range with the most year-over-year growth is between 55 and 64. And this was one of the main drivers in premium growth, largely due to the average amount of premium paid by insured within this bracket. But even then, the average amount of premium paid per insured within this 55 to 64-year-old bracket was still only $95 USD. So looking into other age bands on a percent of total insureds basis, the 25 to 34-year-old bracket came in with the highest concentration of travelers at 28% of the total, with the 35 to 44-year-old bracket coming in close behind at 26% of insured. So again, staying true to that 38-year-old average for all of them. And while we don't know conclusively the exact reason for travel, I do suspect it's mostly people going on holiday or leisure related trips. And the reason being is found in average trip length. I don't know about you, but I've never taken a business trip that lasted over 13 days, which, you guessed it, is the average trip length for these travelers. It's just over 13 days. And to compound this theory with policy data, less than 5% of insureds opted for the business travel extension. That is an optional add-on for this specific policy. And the last interesting bit here, I'll say about these travelers, and this is something that is unique to this policy in general, is that 13% of insureds made the purchase of travel medical insurance while already traveling. And the remaining 87% that bought on average were purchasing 21 days before their scheduled departure. So over 1 in 10 travelers were already on their trip when they made purchase. So I find that to be pretty interesting. So coming up next, we're going to break down a few more insights specific to these travelers with some trending home countries where they live. We mentioned at the start that there were 97 total countries of people where they live throughout the world. And we're also going to dive into the locations that these travelers are visiting. So stick with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Clay Krumer here, host of the Travel Insights podcast powered by Battleface. And now we're going to look into where these travelers live and where are they going with some trending destinations. So out of the 97 total home countries that this policy was purchased from in 2025, there were 7 that stood out with the highest concentration of purchases. The top 7 home countries to start 2025 were Spain, Haiti, Italy, Portugal, Israel, France, and China. So 4 countries in the top 7 are coming from the EU, and those 4 accounted for 20% of insureds. So that would be Spain, Italy, Portugal, and France. And what's interesting about these top 7 countries is, to me, the differences in the languages that are spoken. And the way that these insureds purchased was through our direct-to-consumer channel, where the site is, for now, only translated into English. We do, however, have a multi-currency checkout process where travelers are able to pick their currency between the euro, British pound, and US dollar. But now when we look at some of the trending destinations, the first thing that stood out to me when looking at this data was the concentration of travelers that only selected one country for coverage. Over 78% of travelers chose one singular country that they intended to visit. And when I look at this data across other regions, typically it's not, as heavy with one country destination type travelers. But for these global travel medical insurance policyholders, mostly are just visiting one intended country. 12% selected 2, 5% selected 3 countries, and 4% chose 4 more countries they were planning to visit. And while there were 232 different destination country combinations, there were 5 countries that stood out with the most amount of frequency and being visited. Number one was Great Britain at 16% of insureds, and coming in at number two was France at 15%, followed by Italy, Jamaica, and Spain, rounding out the top five. So again, we're seeing EU countries stand out here in the top five, with three of the five most popular countries to visit. So whether the home country was in the EU or the destination country in the EU, certainly some trends there for these policyholders. To finish up this episode, we're going to do one more segment. I'm going to turn our attention to the benefits that are offered within this policy and a few ways for you to take advantage of these insights to begin offering it on your website as well. So stick with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Travel Insights Podcast. Clay Coomer here. This will be our last segment of this episode, and we are going to touch on the benefits of this travel medical insurance plan, and we're also going to look at the different ways in which you can offer this plan to your travelers or your customers. And this is a travel medical insurance plan, and it is pre-packaged, so we refer to as a bundled benefit type of plan, and it does come with two optional add-ons. We mentioned one of them, which is the business travel extension. There's also a winter sports add-on as well. And with a travel medical insurance plan, there is a deductible or an excess option of $50 or $250, which most of you know is what the traveler has to pay before the insurer starts to pay, which again is pretty standard. But I think the purpose of this policy mainly is one that's out of practicality and is priced economically for the most part, right? And this shows up with the average premium of insured, at least in 2025 in the aggregate, is a $75 USD. And thinking about that with the benefits as well as the average trip length of over 13 days, to me seems like pretty reasonable just from a consumer perspective. So there are 7 benefits that are a part of this policy, and again, most of them are of the medical variety. There are a couple that are not medical. So just to start with the 7 benefits that are in the plan, there's there's medical and emergency expenses. It has a limit of up to $10 million. Hospital benefit, personal accident, personal liability. And then when we look at some of the non-medical related benefits, there is trip interruption with a limit of up to $2,000, baggage loss and delay, and personal money and passport. And as I mentioned, there are 2 optional benefit add-ons with this plan, which is the business extension, and there's a winter sports with an emphasis on equipment like ski equipment. So again, 7 packaged benefits with all varying levels of coverage, and 2 optional benefits to consider. And what's also great about this policy is, while the data shared for this episode is representative of one channel, specifically the Battleface direct-to-consumer channel, and again, we did have some unexpected growth there, as we had discussed. There are a number of different ways in which this policy can be sold, and we do have a variety of different global partners that are actively selling in this way. The first of which is an embedded type of experience using the Battleface APIs associated with this policy to be able to connect into a booking path for a partner and an opt-in type of approach there at the point of purchase. There's also the opportunity to white label this as well if you have a team with the technical bandwidth to be able to program a front-end e-commerce purchase path with the APIs being fed into it. And then there's also the opportunity to sell this as an affiliate type of partnership, where you would have, a partner would have their own unique partner ID and a landing page and a purchase experience that is co-branded. This that type of experience. But what we find is that the partners that generally have the most success are the ones that will embed, right? Usually it's the best for attachment and conversion rates, and putting it right there in the point of purchase makes it simple and straightforward. And even better, the partnerships that really work out the best is when you have embedded as well as a second chance offer on the back end for people who did not end up converting in Path. They give them the opportunity to see the offer again following that booking. So, all right. So that concludes this episode of the Travel Insights podcast powered by Battleface, where we covered an unexpected source of growth to start 2025, the globality of it all with this policy that is, frankly, pretty ubiquitous. And again, we touched on the 97 different countries that were represented as part of our purchasers, and the 232 different destination combinations. Again, this is a very diverse segment, and for all intents and purposes, untapped. And there's certainly an opportunity to stand out in this realm, in this landscape of a lot of product similarity that Battleface actively tries to combat. But this growth, again, while surprising, very much welcome, especially with the economic indicators that are currently flashing in front of us and the potential global implications. But looking at the start of 2025, this plan being sold in the regions around the world performed way above expectations, and we certainly hope that continues on into 2025 and beyond. So I'm Clay Coomer. I'm the host of the Travel Insights podcast and the head of marketing at Battleface. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you again next time on the Travel Insights podcast.